people don't dust their shelves enough.
Oh, don't talk about dusting.
We don't dust our shelves enough.
I don't even... Oh, you know what? This is how bad I am about forgetting to dust. I forget to tell our house cleaner to dust.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That's next level. That is like, dusting doesn't exist in your brain.
Oh, no. Where did this originate? Was it from my own mother?
Dust sucks.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another week of Merriment, where you join me, Carly Jensen, and Johnny Jensen, a couple of married creatives and best friends, getting in some deep, relatable, and or silly conversations after our toddler has gone to bed. This week, we're talking about things we're bad at and things we're good at, mostly things we're bad at, but there's at least a 98% chance you'll feel super motivated to do cool shit in your life after listening to this podcast, because we've got some ideas on strategies for getting a little bit better at stuff. And if there's anything Johnny and I do well, it's coming up with ideas. We're also talking about getting a little too jaded in life and how to turn the feeling faucet back on a little bit. This and a whole lot more on Merriment. Thanks for listening, you cool cats. Find all our episodes and more at carlyandjohnny.com. And if you like what you hear, make life easier for yourself and hit the subscribe button so you can get the show to your inbox each week. Now come on in and join the merriment.
And off we go. All right, Carly, this is it. This is the big one. This is the
Podcast and all podcasts.
This is our last podcast. This is the last podcast we'll ever do.
This is very foreboding. I don't like the sounds of that at all.
I don't know why I said it. Why did I say it? Was that just stream of consciousness?
Yeah, I think that you're just feeling in a dark place in general. It's like that Big Block sing-song about wearing a frown and passing it around.
Yeah.
It won't solve a thing.
Won't solve a thing. Yeah, but... yeah, I had a
Kids'
kind
music.
of a bad day today, but it's okay.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, babe.
It's all right. Bad days happen.
We're a little
We all have
foodie in
bad
our
days.
mouths right now.
Yeah, we're picking nuts out of our teeth.
And blueberries. We just
And blueberries.
had a delicious frozen blueberries with a dollop of cold coconut milk on top and some pecans. Delicious. Ketogenic.
Great. It's great, yeah.
It's probably one of my favorite desserts, actually.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Yeah, I don't know how ketogenic it is because it is blueberries.
Right. Just not too many
We don't know
blueberries.
that. We're not like strict ketonians. We don't stick to the ketosis diet.
Listen. I had all dressed chips today, okay?
What? That is not. How was it? Was it
I
good?
think I'm failing now. I'm kind of like I'm sliding downhill on this keto journey.
Yeah? Are you accepting that?
Well, I think what I'm just not able to accept is how strict I need to be when I actually don't know why I'm doing it. The only reason why I was doing it was to kind of like see if I could do it.
Right.
And I did it for a couple weeks.
Huh. I do it to lose weight, but then then the byproduct is like, oh, clarity of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm not as hungry.
Feeling more energetic kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like now whenever I have sugar or chips or basically any unhealthy carbs, it's and just like across the board, limiting carbs means I limit all those carbs, and that's what makes me feel better.
Totally. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think for me, it's like, it's such an extreme. And then ultimately, in order, like the reason you're doing it, like you said, is to get into ketosis, which for those who don't know, it means that your body
Ketosis.
stops using carbs for energy, because our bodies use carbs for energy first. And
Yeah.
if you deprive it of carbs so much, it starts using fats for energy instead.
Yeah.
So, but I just really don't care to actually try and get into ketosis. So then I'm asking myself why I'm depriving myself of carbs like bananas, when to me, I'm okay with bananas. I don't consider bananas a bad food and other things like that. So then I'm like, it's hard for me to really get behind depriving myself of those things when I don't really believe that I'm going to end up getting into ketosis anyway when we have desserts like a bunch of frozen blueberries.
Well, if you don't believe it, then you won't do it.
Well, but do you hear what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
we just ate the types of things that we eat where we're like, it's not that keto, but it's low carb type of thing, and that's not gonna.
You know what? You've been really existential about this whole ketosis thing. You're always bringing up, I don't know if you're just like always, you're so questioning it.
Is that what existential means?
I don't know. What does existential mean?
I think it means like really, really out there.
No.
Like,
really? Dude, I use that word a
Yeah.
lot. How come I can't think of the definition?
We should probably look up what existential means.
How do you spell existential?
AEXIST Ential.
I knew that. I knew that.
Google knew that.
No, I knew that. Most of the time, I do know how to spell things.
Okay, what does it mean?
Okay, concerned with existence, especially human existence, as
Yeah.
viewed in theories of existentialism. Okay,
I
yeah.
didn't
So
think it had anything to do with me questioning ketosis. It
I
definitely
guess
wasn't getting
yeah,
existential.
existential. But that does make sense of how I normally use existential.
Yeah, it does.
the
I've
word.
never heard you use it out of that.
Except for right
context.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess what am I trying to say? You've been very just philosophical about your diet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
like,
it's the thing. I need to get behind the why, you
Yeah.
know, especially when I'm being so extreme about it. And the why of losing weight, that doesn't do it for me because that was not my problem.
Well, you just need to do a little bit more research, maybe.
You know what? The reason why I started doing it was to get myself back into a discipline regimen.
Uh-huh.
But what I'm finding is when I have the type of parameters that are you can't have any of this and it's really unreasonable in certain areas, but it's but you can have, nuts. And then I'll just gorge myself on nuts. That's not the problem.
Well,
What
it's
the
a
problem is
discipline.
that I need, exactly. What the problem is I need to just start listening to my body and being wait a minute. Am I still hungry? Instead of ooh, what can I just gorge myself on instead?
Great.
So it doesn't actually have to do with whether I want to be ketogenic or not. It's more about just some self-discipline that I need to build. So
Just do that then.
yeah, I think what I'm going to start doing is just allowing myself to go off the ketogenic diet based on the I am dedicating myself now to just listening to my body and doing things within reason and not going crazy.
You go for it. I'm fully in support.
Thanks, honey.
Is that it now? So you're going to eat bananas again?
Yeah,
You're going to eat bread?
within reason.
You're going to eat pizza? Bread?
Well, I mean, you just ate pizza on the weekend, so.
But on a daily basis, you're going to just be I'm okay with ice cream right now.
It really depends. I'm just going to be regulating myself more within reason of how much exercise I've had and what I've already had that day. The reasonable stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's
Because
fair.
I'm pretty good at that stuff. I used to be good at
Not
it.
me.
anyway.
Not me. I need my parameters.
Hmm.
I have a serious discipline problem. I don't know how serious it is. I'm not completely disorganized and a mess, but as far as I'm concerned, I feel like I could use a little bit more discipline. That's why I was thinking of taking up a martial arts, but then somebody was like, if discipline's your problem, then the act of exercise should be enough. If you can conquer that, then that's just being disciplined. I don't need to kind of spend some money and do an activity.
But what you need is somebody to tell you what to do. And then in the act of learning discipline in judo or whatever martial arts you're thinking of, then you will start to feel more on top of things and it'll inspire you to be more disciplined in the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, maybe.
exercising is hard for you to do because you don't have the regimen already set in front of you. It's another, it's almost like
and
chicken
exercising
and
for the
egg.
sake of exercising really bugs me.
Yeah, so
Doesn't
I
make
say go
sense
for
to
the
me.
martial arts. Don't be discouraged by that one person. Whoever that person was.
Whatever one person. How
Who even
dare
are
you
you?
tell me what to do in my life? Nobody tells me what to do.
Who even are they anyway? I'm sitting on brand new storage bench I put together myself today.
Oh, domestic bliss in the house.
I feel pretty
That's what we talk
handyman
about
right now.
here on the Merriment podcast. And that is a great shelf you built.
I
Wow.
just feel really proud of myself. When I first
great.
opened up the information booklet, I was like, okay, this is so many parts. This is so many here's 6 parts of the double A, and here you need 7 pieces
no.
of the double G. And I was just like, oh my
Double G?
gosh, this
Oh,
is
the
so
double
much
G.
stuff. And but then I was like, okay, let's just get into it. And I really focused. I was not scared away by all of the figures, and it took me probably a good hour and a half, and I did it.
Wow. Good for you. That's great. And it looks good. And you're sitting on it. It's not falling over.
Nope, hardly
There we
even
go.
wiggles.
Yeah. And now our books aren't splayed out across the floor like savages.
Yeah, we were savages.
It was, I can't believe we lived that way for so long. It was
I almost
what
went
it was.
crazy. I think it was very
We were
similar
slipping
to
on books. We were getting injured. We were reading too much because that's the thing.
Yeah. And Forrest was having a hard time with it.
Yeah.
Books were piled on top of each other, and he wanted the one on the bottom, but he couldn't get to it.
But now we have a shelf for that. Shelves
Yeah.
are great. I love shelves.
I'm pretty much for shelves in most situations.
I'm pretty I don't know any situation where I'm against a shelf. Maybe if it's like, if it's too close to, if the hallway's too small and you just hit your shoulder on it.
I'm against shelves if I'm constantly like running into it, or it's just like in my way,
or if it's like at shin level.
Yeah, or if it's also installed on an angle and everything falls off of it, and then I'm really against it.
I'm so against those shelves. Those shelves suck,
man. Or when they're like they fall over all the time onto you.
Oh my gosh,
like
dangerous.
A bookshelf?
They're murderers.
You know what? I don't like all shelves.
Yeah, you know what? Some shelves legit murder people.
I'm pretty on the fence about shelves.
I am on the shelf about shelves.
That's even better.
You know what? People don't dust their shelves enough.
Oh, don't talk about dusting.
We don't dust our shelves enough.
I don't even... Oh, you know what? This is how bad I am about forgetting to dust. I forget to tell our house cleaner to dust.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That's next level. That is like dusting doesn't exist in your brain.
Oh no. Where did this originate? Was it from my own mother?
Dust sucks. Yeah, was it? Where does it come from? It wasn't from my mother, because my mother's a dusting freak. That's right.
I've got an external locus of control when it comes to dusting. I just think like it's out of my control. Like,
what do you mean by
there's dust collecting everywhere?
Whatever do you mean by external locus of control?
Well, in the human mind, we have like two different mind frames about why things happen in the world. We can have an external locus of control, which means that you have the impression that everything is happening around you and not because of you. It's because of everything else. And then an internal locus of control is believing that you are affecting the outcome of things that are happening to you in your life. So, I mean, it's not like you only have an external locus and you think everything happens to you, or you only have an internal. It's like it can kind of go in between through your life. But generally, to understand that you affect things in your own life is important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also...
Not an expert over here, by the way. Just saying, heard this on a podcast.
No, we are not experts. That is established.
Never claiming to be an expert on anything.
No. I mean, one day, hopefully, I can be an expert in something I'm good at already. But when it comes to, like, philosophy, I'm interested.
I feel like you have a higher likelihood to be an expert on something in your lifetime than I do. I may be an authority on something one day, but not an expert.
Well, you got to put in your 20,000 hours.
Yeah.
10,000 hours to go from creative infancy to mastering a skill, and then 10,000 more hours, once you've mastered that skill, to go back to that creative infancy.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool.
But yeah, along the lines of what you're saying, what I also heard in a podcast on the book, it's an excerpt from the book 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. I know a lot of people are on the fence about him. So am I, but I get a lot of value from his speaking or his writings. And one of them is, what was it? It's, don't compare yourself to other people, like, because that's more, you're in a position of envy then, and more compare yourself to your past self. So always like be like, it's not helpful to compare yourself to other people at your own level or at the level where you want to be. The best thing to do is to constantly be looking at your past self and do better than your previous self.
That's cool.
It's a better frame of mind.
That's
and it's
really
much
cool.
more achievable. Mm-hmm. And it's like slow, like positive steps in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because like if you're just comparing yourself, you're always going to find somebody that's in a better position than you are, always. But it's much more achievable and more likely that you can be a little bit better than yourself yesterday.
That's a tough one though too, because in a lot of ways I used to be better. I used to be way more disciplined at exercising all the time. I used to be way more disciplined with my diet, and I'm sure a lot of people relate to me where they're like, I'm not better than I used to be. And so you look back and you're just a little bit depressed if you do that.
Maybe, but you can just like narrow it down to yesterday. Like you were better than you were yesterday.
Not true, but yeah.
But you can, if you're striving to, that's a much more achievable goal than to look at like so-and-so who's living this life that you want
Yeah.
that's doing a little bit better than you are. It's like impossible to match their ability or like have the same circumstances that they have. But your past self from yesterday, you do have all the tools to be a little bit better than them.
Right.
That person.
Yeah.
Whoever they are.
That's cool. I like that. That's really good.
So
Well, I'm gonna
it's just
strive
like a
for
little
that.
bit encouraging, and then it's like kind of like baby steps.
You know what I really
Because
like?
like if let's say you need to like you've put on a few extra pounds,
Mm-hmm.
and you're looking at somebody who's thin, and you can be like, oh shoot, I'm not like that person. It's
Mhm.
like it's way
It's different. It's
It's-
your life, not their
but
life.
if you just like take little steps and then you just like are just working on your exercise, maybe like you look at yourself yesterday and think, I'm gonna eat a little bit better than I did yesterday, or I'm gonna exercise a little bit more, and then just kind of gradually work off that way.
I like the idea of like, let's just see if I can. Not like I'm going to do it. I'm going to beat myself. It's just like, let's just see if I can, deny
just
my
see.
indulgence today in this certain instance. So like, say you've got a thing that, like after dinner, you always need to eat dessert. And you're like, let's just see if tonight I actually can get through this craving.
And you can.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Most of the time you can.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's kind of condescending to say that to somebody who has a hard time with that,
Most
and they're
of the
gonna do
time
it again.
You can.
I can?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I wasn't just talking about the royal yo saying you.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, yes.
Yeah.
But like I'm saying,
Like
it's
tonight,
still...
don't.
Well, we already
get
had
ice cream.
blueberries, and
Right.
so, I mean,
Shoot. Well, tomorrow
failed.
we failed. We failed the blueberry test.
But you know what I was going to say is on the topic of, becoming a better person, bettering yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the idea of looking back at your past self rather than looking around at others to compare yourself to. However, what I like even more is really like letting yourself imagine and envisioning the future you, the like achievable future you, the person who feels awesome about the fact that they denied themselves dessert every day and that they only have dessert on special occasions. Like envision the self that you want to be. And actually, I just saw tonight when I was looking at my mom group on Facebook that I'm a part of. They posted this thing it's a book that they made for their kid. I think they call it a social book. And what it is they take a bunch of pictures of their kid and tell a story in a storybook format of their kid doing something that they want them to do. So for instance, this one mom made a book about her kid who loves water because he's been having this irrational fear of water. And he shows pictures of him doing all of these things. Like Basil loves water.
Basil?
I'm making this up. And then then it shows him playing in water, maybe back when he loved water and he's happy. And it says, every time he plays in water, he feels really happy. And it tells this story about Basil having a really great time playing in water. And at the end of the day, everybody else does it too. And now they're all happy. And a lot of these parents are talking about how well it works for their kids to be reading a story about something like, for instance, pottying or eating certain foods or going to sleep at night happy and waking up refreshed in the morning. And by making these storybooks that tell the positive outcome of what these kids could be doing, they end up like really learning from it. And it's actually a very positive way to influence them to do those things. So it's all about just envisioning the positive future, the like very, very attainable, like making it something that isn't just like, oh yeah, one day when I win the lottery and I'm going to be like this. It's not like pie in the sky. It's like, no, in this place that I live right now, with the wardrobe that I have, with the, my hair color that I have when I look in the mirror, like this me right here, I'm going to envision this person, what I could be in a week and what I could be in a few weeks. You know what I mean? And
so for me, it's like, I want to see myself as like an active reader, reading on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. But also like, how does that fit into your life? Because that still sounds abstract.
Okay.
Like imagine yourself, like when I go to work and every day at work, instead of going out or sitting at my desk eating my lunch, I go out and I find a corner of my workplace to read a book, and you imagine that.
I think
life.
I did that with biking. Like I imagine a life where I was biking to work all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm doing that.
And now you do it.
It feels great.
Mm-hmm.
Energized. Yeah, that's good. I might do that for work. Envision it.
Yeah.
That's all the secret is, the concept for the secret. I don't think there's any woo-woo to it. It's just making people make plans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
I think it really is. Instead of despairing about the future, it's like, you know what, I'm going to plan this, and then you're just going to shape your thought patterns to making those type of decisions.
Yeah, totally.
I really don't think it's anything to do with woo-woo. Because
Yeah.
most of the time, at least
I think it
like,
can be both, though, to be honest. Like, I think there are so many things that are magical in the world that could be scientifically explained.
yeah. But then it's not magic anymore.
Well, to me, it's magical because it's just so intricate and kind of lovely how it all flows and works together.
Let's see the definition of magic.
Let's.
I want to see if magic, the power of apparently influencing the course of events by using mysterious or supernatural forces.
Supernatural.
So if it's if you know what it is by science, does it make it supernatural or mysterious anymore? And if you can explain it, so is that if that's the case, then like if you just refuse to like learn anything and you
then
just
everything's just
then
magic.
everything's just magic.
Yeah, sure.
That's funny. So if you keep yourself super naive, you can just be like, I live in a magic world.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know how cars work. Magic. That'd be
Exactly.
fun. That's like super naive, ignorant actually, because now you'd have to make a pointed effort to not learn.
Maybe. I mean, some people might be in more circumstances where it just would be, they'd have to work hard to learn.
Yeah.
You know, depends on your
But
circumstances.
that's what
in
makes
life.
that's why science is so interesting, is because like we can wrap our heads around it. Like it's just like this pursuit. It's like into the unknown. Like we can understand it, and just by chalking everything up to be like woo woo, or it was God, or it was this, and just like not really looking further, seems like, I don't know.
Well, here's the way that I think of it, Johnny, is the woo-woo thing, like with The Secret, for instance. I've never read The Secret, by the way. I've only
Neither
been
have I. We're
told
not
plenty of
secret
things about it
experts.
by other people. But I think it's kind of the approach of we don't need to understand the science in order to use it.
Yeah.
Same as like with childbirth, when it's like from what we were learning, we don't need to manipulate it in the medical system. We don't need to manipulate childbirth in the medical system because there are other ways that we can induce labor naturally, because and it's more about our behaviors and things like that. Obviously, in a lot of cases, induction is absolutely necessary. But
Absolutely.
in some cases, it's like, okay, well, oxytocin is released naturally in the body. We know this scientifically. But you could just say, give your lover a kiss, and suddenly, magically, your labor starts to pick up again. But that's because oxytocin was released when you kissed each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's science. However, you could still just talk about it in more layman's terms, in more human type of terms that makes it seem all of a sudden like it's, mysterious and mystical.
Yeah. It's interesting though. Yeah, totally. And on that topic, I don't know if this is a tangent, but a thing about having a kid, which really surprised me on the lines of the oxytocin release, is like while Force is nursing you, he'll often like stroke you or like pet you almost.
Yeah.
Which is like a way to release oxytocin, which actually makes the milk flow more.
And guess what? He's not a scientist.
No.
He doesn't know that.
Didn't know that.
And so if, for him, it's like, well, when I do this, like more milk comes out. Magic.
Totally.
But it's just in more human terms, in like interpersonal, and, I feel like it's the difference between hard skills and soft skills.
Yeah. Could you imagine living in a world where nothing was explained? Like we didn't have science, which most of, so much of human history was. You just look at the sky and you're like, wow. Or you just like look at, I guess like there's way more mythology to everything.
Totally.
To explain everything. And you just like think about how when famines come and you don't understand the weather according to like the way we understand weather now, so you think it's like the gods are mad at you, or
right, totally.
You create a whole bunch of mythology behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting.
That's when that stuff just gets like carried away.
Carried away into the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Yeah.
the idea of just envisioning what you want to be in the future. I feel like I've always been thinking I wanted to be more of a nature girl. Like I grew up on a hobby farm in Chilliwack, like in the outskirts of Chilliwack next to a mountain. I feel like very akin to nature. I spent most of my childhood barefoot in the grass. And now, like living in a city, I'm constantly like, oh man, I should be going for more hikes. I should be going out into nature. And that's one thing I need to kind of reconcile. Like, well, why am I not doing it? If I really want that, why don't I start doing it? So I feel like I need to either come to terms with the fact that obviously I don't want it that bad if I'm not making it happen, or I need to envision how that works in my life and envision the type of person that I can be to do those things.
Yeah. Do it. Are you saying that's what you're going to do now?
I've got to ruminate on that.
Ruminate? Isn't ruminating bad?
I don't know.
I thought that ruminating meant like I heard that it's really bad for your brain.
Well, I mean, I guess we have to now look up the definition of rumination.
Dr. Rhonda Patrick mentioned that in a podcast I listened to. What does ruminating mean? I've been using these words a lot.
Well, for me, in the context I was using, I need to think on it. I need to like meditate on it, you know?
Meditating is a better word, I think. Okay. Definition of ruminate is think deeply about something. Huh.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing.
But then why did I
What's
hear in
the
a
second
podcast,
definition?
Chew a cud?
What? No.
What?
Johnny, I think you're I think that's metaphorical. That's not. See where it says number 2?
Yeah.
What does it say?
Chew a cud.
It does not.
It absolutely does.
But what does it say in the of a ruminant? Chew the cud.
Chew the cud.
Contemplate, consider. There's nothing wrong about any of those. I think what Rhonda Patrick meant in the ruminating term, like maybe that's more of a in the psychology books, that's a term, and it's not the same as in like a Webster's dictionary.
What does it mean when you're like
daydreaming?
Nothing. Yeah.
It's like a daydreaming.
Yeah.
Where you just like
your
mind
off
wanders.
Into space and yeah.
That's more what she's talking about rather than thinking deeply about something.
Oh, I read. Okay, that's good. Ruminate.
Now we've learned.
This is all about learning. We need to. Yeah.
We just need to like fill our brains with more stuff.
Or just not more stuff, just the same stuff over and over so it sticks. For higher retention. So what's going on?
I gotta say I'm pretty excited about something that happened last week. It doesn't even have to do with me really, but
what happened?
I'm just excited about my brother. He got an agent.
Ooh, a real agent.
I know
things are happening for him. You know, he's a great actor and very good actor. He like blew me away in this last play that he was in.
He was in The Diary of Anne Frank, and he was Anne Frank's dad.
Oh, and he had a big monologue at the end. Picked up chairs.
Held out right up to the very end of the monologue, and then he hugs her diary, and I just was like,
he made his own father cry.
Yeah, we were right in this tiny theater too, and it's like a theater. It's theater in the round, they call it, where there's the audiences around the entire stage.
Right.
And so it's this small theater, and when the cast comes out to bow, immediately after he hugs the diary, and you start like I just started bawling, and then the lights come up, and the entire cast come out to bow. But luckily, they weren't facing me because it's the round, right? I'm like, thank goodness, because otherwise they're going to see me like ugly crying. And then they start turning to every section of the room to like bow and look at everybody. And so
well, that's a compliment, man. That's that you should just let it out. You should just be like, if you enjoyed it, just let it flow.
They're like making eye contact with you and everything, great. And you're just like,
it's an intimate.
And then we meet them afterwards because they're my brother's friends. Oh, so
what a better compliment than that.
Anyway, that's
it would be like if you meet a chef after a meal and you're like, or they watch you eat and you're trying not to be like,
It's still embarrassing. It's like
is it embarrassing to say?
Well, like think there's a chef. No, but is fine. But what about like you're eating it so fast that it's like dribbling down your chin?
Oh yeah,
and then that's embarrassing just to be seen like that.
Or licking the plate.
Sure, maybe
you wouldn't let the chef see you lick the plate.
No, like
maybe it's more of a licking the plate scenario than
I don't think it's quite a licking the plate scenario. It's probably that you're eating so fast that you're starting to dribble. But like licking the plate.
But when you love something, you don't eat it fast.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
at a fancy restaurant.
Yeah. Well, either way, it was embarrassing them looking at me, but I think also at the same time it made them feel good because that's, their performances were obviously very moving.
They were excellent.
Anyway, but my brother was in this play and he moved here from Alberta from, like working in drywall. He's wanted to be in acting and music his entire life, and for circumstances that I think many people his age experienced. His dad was not exactly, gung-ho about that. It was like, yes, go ahead and do it, but how are you going to make money? Well, it came back to like, what's going to be your skill? What's going to be your, your marketable skill? How are you going to make money? And so for somebody who's like a sensitive artist, that just kind of kills your spirit a little bit. And you just think, I've just got to.
Well, it is like getting into acting is kind of like, whew.
It's very intimidating. So
it is intimidating.
Yeah.
And good for you. You got to go for it.
Totally.
And he's very talented, and he's got the maturity. He's not like young 20-something over eager. He can like totally rock auditions.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
good.
But what I think is really funny about all of this is, okay, so my brother was here at my house, and so was my sister, and he was, talking about, I think we had just seen the play, and we were telling him like how talented he was. And we were like, you know what, Kale, you just gotta like go for it. You just gotta get out there and we started to like get silly and riled up like we kind of do as siblings. And my sister started just being like, go, Kale, you gotta go out there and do it. And then I was like, yeah, Cassie, you tell him. And so I'm rooting Cassie on while she's rooting Kale on. And we just started to get into like this ridiculous frenzy. And then Cassie and I are both just like, yeah, Kale, do it. And he's like standing up and like shaking his fists in the air with a big stupid grin on his face. And then he goes running out of the house. And then he came back in because it was all just like a silly little fun thing that we were doing. But after that, he emailed 27 agents that day.
Whoa.
And then he got an interview, and then he went to the interview and he was just really chill about it, and then they gave him a like paper to sign.
Wow.
And they signed him.
That's an effective strategy. You should create a business model.
It's like it doesn't even it
you
doesn't have to be serious.
No,
you can be joking, or you can just be like letting yourself get out of hand excited about something as like you're being silly.
Could you imagine
and it still gives you that feeling of like, oh man, I feel great. I'm going to do it.
Could you imagine if you and Cassie like created a business on that where you like get a client and they're just so discouraged, they need to be amped up, and they fill out the surveys like, what do you want to do? Like, what's your whole life? And then you go meet them in a room, and then you're just like, hey, nice to meet you. And then you just do that for like a half an hour.
Yeah. And
you just like pep talk.
Well, I think it's got to start out with like playing some kind of game, getting silly together, and you just become light, and then you can start to really like egg them on in a silly kind of way. It's got to be light, but also while you're egging them on, give them a few suggestions. Like when we were doing that to Kale, we're like, you know what, just like look up all the agents you can and just send them an email and just like, who cares? What's the worst that can happen? Do it, Kale. Do
it right now.
But you gotta like give them the action points to just like start them off, and then it just like.
That's great. Yeah. That's like real good salesman techniques. You could get people to sign contracts like without getting them hyped. Like I feel like people who have that skill sell timeshares, and they just like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
it's like you saw the effectiveness of that, and there are a lot of people who use that same type of energy to get people to do like sign contracts and like spend a lot of money, make some like poor investments.
Totally.
Isn't that funny?
I feel like I had to defend against that energy very recently, and I don't remember what it was, but it's like when you can feel that onslaught of somebody who's like trying to get you whipped up in a frenzy, like so that you won't make like the smartest decision. It's like, whoa, okay, I'll keep myself calm here.
Isn't that interesting? It's like the pyramid scheme kind of network marketer kind of stuff. It's so funny because I've met a few of them, and they totally just get you like so hyped up and so like excited about that idea of this like making your own side income, or by this time you could be making like $30,000 a month, and what can you buy with $30,000 a month? Oh my Josh, you'll be going on all these vacations, and you got to just do it. And then all of a sudden you just bought a whole bunch of like these like protein shake.
It's this like magic combination of getting you excited and also applying pressure
and action
to make a decision right now.
And then making it like actionable. Do this. You got to do this. Wow. We believe, believe that you have everybody has the potential to do this. Like, wow, you turn your life around. Almost like religion. Like I've heard people talk about going to those events, and it's very similar to like a religious type vibe where they have somebody on stage and their people are like so emotional. They're turning their life around. They're going to make money and they're going to, you know what I mean? Like they actually, it's really creepy. Like when you watch some of those telemarketer videos too, with those pyramid schemes, it feels like, oh, if you just start throwing the word God instead of like money or something in there, or you like replace some of the words with God and Jesus, and it would be like, this is a straight up religious event.
Yeah, that's so, it's pretty much, the same.
It's the same thing.
But you know what is interesting on the flip side of that? This reminds me of a time that we were at a movie theater. I don't remember what the last movie was we saw together, but
Infinity War.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Was it?
Infinity Wars. Come on.
No.
But no, we were
one
I know.
war. There was no more wars. It was just one.
Didn't think you were going to take the bait this hard.
There's how many multiple wars make up? What do they make up? Multiple battles make up a war.
Wow, this
multiple
still gets
wars make
a
up
rise out of you.
Yes, it really does.
You're right, Johnny. Okay.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear.
Okay, but when we were watching
I had to pick up my microphone for that.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. Okay, when we were watching the trailers though, leading up to it, I found myself like trying to keep control of my emotions because everything wants to make you feel these days, right? Especially like advertisements. They're really good at like making you feel something. And especially when it's like a McDonald's commercial in the end and you're like, why did it just make me almost cry? It makes you kind of annoyed and you start protecting yourself from letting these emotions well up, because storytelling is like good storytelling is very effective at making you feel things. But I also don't want to get jaded and not let myself feel things when it's just for fun, just for a good feeling, you know, like we're watching a trailer. I don't remember which one it was. I think maybe it was for Deadpool. And it was a great trailer, but I found myself doing that thing where I'm just like keeping myself from getting too excited. I'm like, what is so wrong about letting myself just get whipped up into this like amazing emotional journey? Because that's like a gift that we have in fantastic entertainment. Yeah. And we shouldn't let our emotions get jaded in certain safe circumstances where it's like, it's just a movie. It's just, you know, a concert. That's another thing. At concerts, I went to so many concerts for a while there. I became so jaded about letting myself be moved by music. And now it's like, why? What's so wrong about letting yourself be moved for a while?
It's hard for me. It's hard for me to get moved by music. It's happened a few times, but it's very magical. It feels like a mystical experience.
Mm-hmm. But it's a cynical thing. It's a jaded, cynical thing for us to stop ourselves from feeling things, because there's a lot of stuff to make us feel out there.
I don't know if it works like that. I'm not stopping myself. It's like not being able to start. I'm not able to cry all the time. It's not like I'm constantly stopping myself from crying.
I don't mean like
and
that.
Then like even if it's like a sad thing, it's not like most of the time I'm like, I want to cry. I want to feel emotion. There's nothing in me. Like if every show moved me, I would be like, yes, amazing. I don't think it's like it comes down to a choice. It'd be great.
I think it's a subconscious thing. It's not a conscious choice. Like when I said I found myself not letting myself feel things during the trailer, right. It was I was realizing that was a subconscious thing that was going on. Right. It wasn't a conscious choice to not feel things. It was like a subconscious suppression.
Right.
That it's like you kind of need to notice it before you can even stop that from happening.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, I think we are stopping ourselves from feeling things, and I'm saying it's safe. Let yourself feel things in these forms of entertainment that are meant to make us feel things.
But what if
just don't let yourself get carried away and like go buy McDonald's because it made you cry?
What if you're depressed and you're just like you can't feel anything? How do you make yourself feel something? Because everything's trying to make you feel everything all the time, and then you just like you get turned off. How do you make yourself feel again?
That's tricky.
So yeah. I've been in that situation plenty of times. Mm-hmm. I've felt very nihilistic, just like, what's the point? You know, it's like nothing. Everything's just like, you know, thinking that everything's meaningless. Everything is just like we're all working towards what? you know, especially in this culture where we're
Mhm.
like, I think it's in America, if you're making above $35,000 a year, you're a part of the 1%. So we are a part of the 1%.
What?
Yeah. So it's like when we use that stat, we're referring to ourselves.
What?
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
Because that's just how impoverished a lot of people are
Holy smokes. In North America?
in the world.
In the world.
Yeah. A lot of people live on $1 a day.
Right. But we're talking, okay, I don't think that is really a statistic that I'm going to take to heart, because
What?
the 1% that they're talking about in North America,
Yeah, but Tom,
Is
we
different
think it from
because
like a global
also-
perspective.
yeah, but also
We're
what I'm
still
saying is
incredibly privileged.
a dollar gets you so much more in some countries than it gets you here. Even in some cities.
I guess it's relative, but that we can still go to those countries and spend all of our money and just like totally like feel like we're super, super rich.
Yeah, but somebody who's making $35,000 in Vancouver sure can't afford to fly to those countries to spend money like
That's
that.
true. But I guess what I'm saying is, it's all, what am I trying to say here? Why did we get to this conversation? Oh yeah, in trying to find, like, when I would get very nihilistic about everything, is just like when you have like, you feel so passionate about our life, or I feel like sad about things, then I just like think about, there's always people that have it better and worse than you, and like what makes my decision so meaningful? Where is meaning? Like what makes the meaningfulness that I feel so special? I don't know what I'm saying. I'm ruminating in a bad way.
To me, I feel like it's the personal experience, you know, like I think I'm speculating here. I feel like this is applicable to me, but gratefulness every day is something that helps me to feel like there's purpose in everything, because gratefulness is, I feel like, where the feeling starts again. When you just like look around you and you look at the blue sky and you're grateful for a sunny day, or even when it's a rainy day and you're grateful for the fact that water falls from the sky so that we can drink it from the ground, and like those types of things, or, you know, less deep, just grateful for a person in your life that's good to you, or just finding all of the things in your life to be grateful for on a regular basis, and just spending some time being like, wow, I'm really grateful for that. And it sounds so cheesy, but I'm serious. As soon as I'm stopping to spend more time being grateful for the things that I have, or the people that I have, or the love that I have, or whatever, my life gets better, and I become happier. And I start to feel more again. Because
and it's like the opposite side of cynicism, I guess. You're not being cynical. You're able to just like really let yourself feel. Because like cynicism is just like, you're your own worst enemy. You know what I mean? You're digging your own grave there.
Totally.
It's all about perspective. You can like choosing to be grateful of everything and seeing the positive is, and cynicism can be just like super destructive. And I feel like that's what I've been falling victim to.
Right. Yeah.
Is what's been hard to kind of like pull meaning out of things. Or I've had, not now, but I've had that problem in the past, which I know a lot of people do.
Yeah. Maybe that
So maybe
envisioning your
this
future
conversation-
self as a daily grateful person is a good place to start. But don't listen to me, because as soon as I tell you something to do, you're not going to do it. So
Yeah, that is a pattern of mine, isn't it? But now you told me to not listen to you. I'm very confused.
Excellent.
Excellent. Yeah. Is this a boring conversation?
I'm enjoying it. It's a low-key conversation.
It's low key. I know you hate it when I bring it up, but I'm like all of a sudden a little bit self-conscious and self-aware. Here's a crazy thing. I dropped my phone off of a bridge.
Oh yeah, and it didn't smash.
No, it works fine. It's actually not even that cracked.
But it dropped off a bridge onto
30 concrete feet
below.
40 feet. I think it's more close to 40 feet.
Crazy.
It's the Cambie Street Bridge right onto concrete.
And you didn't have an OtterBox case.
I just had like a $20 little wallet case, cheapy peepee case.
Yeah. And it was an iPhone 10?
No,
Is that what we have?
8 Plus.
Oh.
Great phones. Durable.
Yeah, apparently.
iPhone this podcast brought to you
You
by
do have a crack, but it's working okay, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's working fine.
Also, social life. You're doing stuff these days. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm going to see a documentary with a good pal who I'm working on a documentary with
Second
tonight.
documentary of the week.
No,
in the
film.
past week?
Second film that I've seen in the theaters.
Oh, the other
I'm trying
one was
I'm trying to like be like, okay, am I a filmmaker? Okay, I got to see films and I got to read books
Walk
about
the
film.
walk.
I got to walk the walk because it's like I got to do my homework, which is daunting. But if I just like, I don't know, it's all possible. I know I can do it, so I just gotta focus.
Good for you. I support that.
So we'll see. It's on a journey. It's just like the most intimidating thing is this long form storytelling. Being able to hold somebody's attention for 2 hours or an hour and a half at least is very daunting. But I guess you just gotta. It's like the craft. You know what I mean? It's like
it's so counterintuitive to today's style too.
But I'm really interested in it. It's like I'm looking at a car, so I'm gonna use this as an analogy. I think it's like you don't look at a car and think of how do I make that car all at once. Nobody does that. You think there's a process involved. You think it's a process that has been defined, and it's maybe that's a bad analogy.
No, you know what
maybe
the best
building
analogy
a house
is?
starts with a framework, and then you just like it's not like you can't sum it all up at once. It's more about the practice than it is about like the elevator pitch, I guess.
Perfect freaking analogy. This bench today. I looked at the like instruction booklet. I looked at how many pages it was, how many parts there were. None of it was in English. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be really hard. I don't know how to do this. But then I just started with the first step and the next step and the next step, and I did it.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it goes with anything. But something to this scale where it's like, my question is, at the end, do you just have to watch the whole movie over and over and over again? That's crazy.
That is crazy. That's a lot of time.
And you do. Like, what's your work day? It's like you're making it. It's a lot of the time the cut's longer. So a lot of the time you're like, okay, so let's do this. Let's start a day watching 2.5. I guess you start like you work on sequences and slowly put it together. And scenes. And then you having that big giant picture in your mind. But I guess when you
break it into chunks, chapters almost.
Yeah, you break it into acts.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's this whole process that I'm starting to get familiar with. I didn't go to film school, but I'm working with people who did. Whoa,
are you okay? What's going on here?
I'm trying to suppress a burp. I didn't go to film school, but I'm working with people who did, and I've read a few books on making movies. But it's all going to change when I actually make a movie. And which I just got a bunch of old school tapes digitized. I'm picking them up tomorrow morning.
Oh my gosh.
That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy. So much. Like, how far back do these tapes go?
1988.
Holy smokes.
Dennis and Sherry getting married. I went and looked at it today. It was very crazy. It was cool because like the tape has like the warble to it, and it's very like it's very well. He did a really good job digitizing it. I'm very happy with it.
So I'm probably not going to see you in the evenings for 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's like 35 tapes.
Wow. Although we're going to have to take a break to go to the Kootenays Waldy reunion. What?
And also shoot a music video.
Yeah.
I'm busy, and I'm planning another music video too. If that's maybe why it's hard for me to be interesting right now, is because like so much is on my mind. There's just like, I don't know. I can't enter
ruminating?
Into it. Yeah. Ruminating.
In the term that we were talking about before, not actual definition of ruminating.
Yeah, but I am ruminating a lot. A lot of times I'll just but what is that word? I'm trying to think of like where I'm trying to think about something, but I'm not thinking about it, and I'm just like doing nothing. I'm like, I know there's a problem I need to solve. Just like it's
I totally know what you're talking about.
Oh, look, this is turning into the Johnny Show again.
What? It is not.
Look, I'm all self-conscious again. What happened?
You remember what?
So self-aware. Every time I say something, I'm thinking in my head as I say it, and I'm questioning it.
Humility is not about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less.
That's a really good quote.
Einstein.
Albert Einstein definitely did that quote.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Is that for real?
Don't quote me on it. I'm pretty sure. I'm
That's
like 97% sure.
97%. Well, that 3% chance.
But it is a quote by a person.
If you think about 100 million, out of 100 million, that's 3 million chances.
Yeah. What?
That it could
No,
be
that's-
wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Everything's scalable.
It's absolutely true. But seriously, like when I remember what this is like because I was in the same situation as you a couple of years ago. But like when you're constantly feeling self-conscious about how you're coming across or like second guessing yourself, you're just thinking about yourself all the time.
Yeah, I know. And it's just like thinking less of yourself. It's
Right.
just like, it's like, I
You're
don't know, is this good?
denigrating
But I have
yourself.
been in a lot of denigrating.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have been in the past reached like a flow state where everything's just so effortless, but then don't know how to get to that point. I don't envision myself doing it better.
Well, I think you've got to get to
I gotta go see a movie. Yeah.
You got to get to your documentary. Woohoo.
Woohoo. Yeah.
Okay, well,
You can continue this conversation after, just like recite some poetry or something. Maybe you can practice just talking on your own.
why would I do that?
I don't know. You ask me.
I'm not a radio DJ. And
did
besides,
that
I
for
don't even
years.
have music to talk about.
You do. You could talk about music. We're working on a kids music for fun,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
which yeah.
I'm excited about that because
That's like out of all the projects that we've talked about, that feels like something we got to just do because we can do it. It's like
it's
this.
very doable.
There's a huge responsibility that I feel like we have a lot of gear. We have recording gear, we have film gear, we have, just with the nature of my work, I've accumulated just equipment that can allow us to make just about anything.
Yeah.
And it's like that pressure is crazy. And I feel like we've had, I don't know, I feel like such a big responsibility that we need to do something with it. Instead
Totally.
of letting it collect dust. So,
And I love writing songs, and I've sang and written so many songs for Forrest since he was born. And if we just take some of those, turn it into some kids' music that we take our niece Abby's skills of drawing and animating, and we just animate some music videos.
yeah. I think that could be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be really fun. And we should start with All Cleaned Up and then do 3 more and then see where we go from there.
I think I might work on that after you go.
Oh, good. Being productive.
High fives.
High five.
All right. Well, have a good time tonight, babe.
And dear listener, and I hope you enjoyed this talk. You should, if you look at my eyebrows right now, I'm like,
You're so ironic right now.
I'm just trying to think of like, it would be like listening, somebody on like the SkyTrain listening in. Would this be an interesting conversation if somebody was like, oh my gosh, who are these people?
Don't ask me. I'm just me. I found it interesting because I was partaking in it.
Yeah. And I am me.
I think this is
Am I
probably
me?
always the least interesting part of any podcast is when we're
Talking about the
discussing whether
podcast?
it's interesting.
Yeah.
So
Maybe.
just like cut it out.
Oh, you're right.
Cut
this
it
is the
out,
most, cut it
Johnny.
We're going to cut this out.
No, I mean, well, I'm saying stop doing that.
It's interesting because I do this a lot, even in like, if I look back to like the films that I've made or started to make or ideas that I've had, it's all about like, it is existentialism. It's like, do we exist? Do we matter? What's the point of it all? It's still catching up with me.
Oh, but can I just say one thing about our sweet baby boy?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even
Talk
two
about
things.
Forrest.
Is just how he's learned how to say hello lately.
Oh, that's so much fun.
He still doesn't say hi. Like he doesn't greet people and say hi. He's more likely to say bye-bye to them. And I'm like,
He
they're
does
not
that to
going
me
yet.
when I'm like trying to give him a hug because I'm going to work, and he'll just be like, bye-bye. Bye-bye. I'm
So
like,
matter of fact.
I haven't even said goodbye. He's like, okay, bye-bye. And then just like wants to continue playing. I'm like, oh.
He's so confusing though, because like when you're saying goodnight to him, passing him off to me to nurse to sleep, and you're like, can I have a hug goodnight? And he's just like, bye-bye. And but then we're lying there and he's like, da-da.
Yeah, he
It's like he regrets. Yeah, he regrets it every time. But no, he's learned how to say hello, because sometimes we'll let him carry our phones around and he can't get into it because it's locked, but he can hold the button down and Siri will go, hello, how can I help you?
And
so
he goes
Forrest,
back, "Hello."
yesterday we were at my sister's house and he's carrying one of their phones around. And just holding it up to his mouth going, hello, hello.
But you know what's really funny about that? In the past, kids used to do that because you would talk on the phone to people and you would say hello on the phone. Now he does that because an AI talks to him.
So weird.
Isn't that weird?
So
but it's still
weird.
the same thing. So weird.
Yeah.
Anyways, I should go.
Okay. Well, thanks for taking the time for a talk with your good old gal, Carly.
Gal. Moderated conversation. I think it was good.
Stop.
Hey, I'm in my 20s. We've established that I'm at a phase of life where I'm like,
You're still allowed to question
is
everything.
it okay to breathe? Is it okay to breathe? Is it okay to breathe?
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm envisioning right now a girl who's not going to go looking for something more to eat after this
good.
podcast ends. And if it is, it's going to be celery.
You know what? I think if if we're gonna find silver lining with this behavior, is like you can track it. Maybe we'll look back to podcasts like this and I'll be like, wow,
I've come a
so
long
much
way.
more confident.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm gonna be more confident than I was today.
Good, honey. That's
I'm gonna
great.
do it.
Yeah.
Confident and just be, because it's like these weird loops that you can get in when
You got to
with your
accept
thought
yourself.
process. You gotta accept being yourself. I gotta go though.
Okay, I love you.
Bye.
Short and sweet, friends. Man, we didn't even crack an hour this episode. Can you believe it? What are you going to do with all your extra time? I would stretch this out just so you could say it reached an hour, but I'm not a radio host. Find our show notes at carlyandjohnny.com, and we'd love to connect with you too. Links to our social are on the website and stuff. Audio engineering by Johnny Jansen, editing by me, Carly Jansen, and the Merriment theme song produced and performed by me and Johnny. Awesome. You guys are the best. We will talk to you next week.